Welcome everyone to If I May, a podcast hosted by me, Brent, and my two other white late to 20s. Yeah, are we late 20s now, guys? Oh my god.
Nick's definitely late 20s. I think what's the cutoff?
Oh, I hope I'm not late 20s. But anyway, Nick and Kyle, where we talk about whatever we want while politely interrupting each other as often as possible. This is episode 23. Let's go.
Oh yeah, rocking the new graphics yet again.
Oh,
What, Nick?
So good.
What, Nick?
One time I wish Brent would just read the script the way we write it. By the way, I'm late. I'm late to my 20s. Like I got in there late. Yeah, that was nice. And then we don't interrupt each other as often as possible. Oh my god. So one thing you'll definitely learn is Brent needs script, and even when he has a script, it's not always
when he has a
slide
script. Yeah, because in previous episodes, when he has a script, he's not supposed to read everything word for word off a script. He goes word for word off the script.
The one time.
Improvisation may not be his. He is a good improv individual, ironically, but you give him a sentence to read off of a document, and no, butchered. So yeah,
Well,
I
had this big plan. I had this big plan. I was gonna point and be like, "Well, obviously white because, we all are in these rooms with white back walls, and you can't even see us. It's like a ghost." So I was just like. But then I tried doing that, and it just threw everything off. I shouldn't try and do more than one multitask at a time.
It wouldn't be a multitask by definition, then, for the record.
Good point.
At any rate, let's keep moving.
All right, so new graphics, as we talked about. Kyle, I see like two of you. Wait, nope, that's not true. Misread that. What's happening? Dual monitors. I tried making I tried making the joke last week. I was like, "Wow, Kyle, you look so clear today," which obviously is camera. I'm not.
I've had the camera for a couple weeks.
No, I was like, the camera looks good, but I was like, he got this new monitor. I was like, "Wow, you look so good through your new monitor." And then I tried taking a joke that no one found funny to begin with to the next level. Not a good idea. But two monitors.
So yeah. So it's kind of funny because like when my monitor went out, so I'm like I needed to get a new monitor. So I went to Walmart, found an pretty decent deal. It was an HP monitor. It's a 24-incher. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I needed a monitor because we were going to record that night. So I was like, okay, getting a monitor. So I picked it up and I was like, I know at some point in time I want dual monitors. Like I need dual monitors. So I went ahead and I bought like the dual monitor stand right away to hold two monitors. And so I brought it home, I set up the stand, got the one monitor going and recorded the podcast. And then like one of the next days at work, I was talking to one of my coworkers and I was like, yeah, when my monitor went out, I had to buy another monitor. He's like, oh, dang, how much did that cost you? Like $500? I'm like, no, at Walmart, it was only like $130 something, or, I think it was like $180 with the stand and everything. And he's like, oh, how would you not get two monitors? And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I should probably get two monitors. And then like, I don't know, a couple days ago, Thursday, Friday, Juliana was like, hey, can I spend like $80 on clothes for my school? Like, can I get school, like, staff clothes? And I'm like, sure, can I get a monitor? She's like, okay. So, yeah, I got myself
Wait, did you get the monitor first, or did you get the clothes first?
Well, she ordered the clothes first, but the monitor was a pickup from Walmart. Her clothes need to be, like, made and whatnot, so... Mm-hmm. But yeah, I got my dual monitor set up, so I am rocking it. I got the soundboard over here with the sound effects, which is probably way too loud. I apologize, but yeah,
I could hear it.
We're rocking it, and now the pictures for us should look better because I can make our faces bigger. So much better. Nick looks very unimpressed, but I'm happy.
As long as Kyle's happy, we're all happy.
Oh yeah,
so happy. All of the happy.
All right, Brent.
The easy majority of the happy. Brent's disconnected. With that, Kyle, did you want to, I guess we just touched on the monitors. What else did you have for us today?
Oh, I don't know. One of the other things I had was that the high school I've been helping, so there's a high school right between work and home for me that has a robotics team. And when I was back in Wisconsin, I was helping with the team that my company sponsored there. So when I moved here, I found this team. I think I've talked about it a little bit before, but they have their one of their mini competitions this weekend. So they had like a practice run last weekend, and they're one of about 4 robots that actually worked. Like there's no other there was a good 15 teams there.
Kyle, if I may, does or does not your robot shoot flames?
So it does not, but the battle bot
one more,
to,
if I may.
did.
If I may, does or does not your robot have a full-size saw blade?
No, but the arm on it could definitely hurt
hold
somebody.
on. One more. Does or
Does
does not your robot contain an axe and or pick from the back end of some old
Kind of.
in which it will swing violently with its arm?
So the competition we're in is called Best Robotics, and one of the goals is to basically like get a bunch of like trash that's in I forgot what they're called, but like circular rings out. You have to pick the stuff out of the circular ring that has like a netting at the bottom, and either knock it off to the person that can like scoop it out of the water with a like a net, or you have to like pick it up and bring it to like a field scientist to sort it or whatever. And so like our robot, the grabber, wasn't really fully developed when we went to the practice session. So they just kind of like put the arm out, was just flopping it back and forth like crazy to like knock as much stuff off the platform as possible. And definitely could take somebody out. Like the 2 guys on one side have like face shields on, and I was, because we only had 2 students show up for the thing, I kind of filled in, well, because it was just a practice run. It didn't really matter. I filled in as the 3rd human player for the team on the end, and I definitely almost got hit by that arm at least 5 or 6 times. Like I have videos of me like ducking to try to avoid this thing from smacking me in the face.
If it's not a
kind of.
BattleBot competition, is it truly a best robotics then? Because isn't the pinnacle of robotics to destroy other robots?
Right? I know. They tried to do the combat robots or whatever, the off-brand BattleBots name is, the combat robots at the beginning of the year, but their electronics ended up going out the night before, so they couldn't compete. But that one did have a flamethrower. Like the students actually did a pretty good job of like contacting the fire marshal and getting everything approved and whatnot. So yeah, it was impressive, but they ended up frying all their electronics the night before. What?
Bunch of rule followers.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Right? Can't just bring the flame and figure it out.
Who takes the time to make sure this stuff is legal?
They basically made their own like taser in order to like ignite the butane flame torch. Yeah.
If they were in the UP, they would not be asking any fire marshal.
That's if they were in the UP, they'd be like,
well, it was Colorado. Yeah.
Hey, can we use dynamite?
Sure.
They'd be like shooting gasoline. They'd be dumping gasoline on the other robots.
So, fun story about dynamite. Brent, I don't know if you were there for this, but in the camp that we used to work at, one of the campers, so we do it for Cub Scouts, and one of the campers' dads used to work at the camp way back in his Boy Scouts and when he was super young. And apparently on the weekends, the camp director at the time would just leave all the staff members at the camp and be like, here, he'd give them like a list of tasks to do. And one of those tasks was digging out the fire pits. So conveniently nearby, there was road construction going on where the construction crews were using dynamite to clear earth. And so the staff members decided to go steal some of this dynamite, bring it back to the camp to make their campfire pit digging experience a little easier.
If I may add to the story, these are Boy Scouts we're talking about here.
Yeah, that was Boy Scouts. A bunch
Just
of
throwing
Cub
it
Scouts.
out there, Boy Scouts are doing this. But
Yeah, back in the day. This is like 70s, 80s, I'm sure. But so they ended up clearing fire pits with a dynamite. The explosion, like I don't know exactly what their setup was, but they had cops all over the camp in a matter of like an hour or 2 or something, is what he was saying, and they were all hiding in the woods and just hoping not to get caught. And apparently they didn't get caught. They used dynamite to make their campfire pits and hid.
And what makes it more impressive is the fact cops came where this camp is basically in the middle of nowhere. And
That's
probably
how
in
loud
the
the
70s
blast was. I'm sure
there was nobody
Oh,
nearby.
yeah. I'm sure some residents nearby must have called the cops. Like that's the only way that would make sense.
Hence why it took an hour to get out there. Yeah,
Probably.
it's easier to share stories about past generations because I feel like telling stories of what we did. Didn't they at one time
We
someone
did
came
not have
back with like a
dynamite at
stop
at
sign?
our disposal.
No, but there was other stuff that happened within the 10 years of camping that I just don't feel we should share.
I don't think there's
Maybe
anything
10
that's
years.
dynamite worthy though. Like there's nothing that
Not
we did that
not
tops that.
dynamite. It's I don't know. It's the Boy Scouts. I have this whole like we're great people and we are. We are. Just keep that in your mind.
I remember when I started working at the camp initially, when my mom came and like met the staff counselors, like the older ones than me, when I was just like a lowly little 14-year-old CIT, mom's like, the camp counselors have a different side to them than you see when they are, in front of the campers. And that is 100% true.
So I remember your first year, you got all nicknames, and I came the year after you did, after you started, and I was excited. I was like, oh, camp nicknames, it's going to be great. And then it stopped.
Well, the main reason I got a nickname is because there was two Kyles, and so they were trying to figure out a nickname for me. This is a longer story, but they're trying to find a nickname for me, and I decided I didn't really want the nickname Woody. And so I ended up with the nickname Oatmeal, and that can be a story for some other time. Nick, what's your nickname?
Ha ha ha.
Wait, whoa. I want to know now.
Nick is my nickname.
Big
Fun fact.
Oh, so you're saying your real name is Nicholas? Shocker.
Legally, yes, I believe it is. Which translates, I was told as a child, to Victorious One, which is a kind of cool name.
So your nickname could be Victor.
Could be Victor. I went by Stonic in a few situations. That was kind of my work nickname, which it was close to Sonic, but it had some other elements. So that was my work nickname, Stonic, and then
fast to the keyboard.
I was so fast, but there was that, and then there's obviously Nick, and then in high school everyone went by their last name. I won't share that with our group here, but that was always kind of the big thing in high school football. You'd show up to practice the first day, and they'd have masking tape with a Sharpie, and then they'd write your last name on your helmet, and that was how they called you. So all throughout high school, everyone was just referred to constantly by their last name if they were any kind of a jock, which worked out really well. So no, I don't have any really cool stories. I did have an alter ego. This will be a fun little offshoot.
Okay, so let me get settled in for this.
Yeah, well, it's not that long, but I had a group of friends who like to go to the dive bars out in Houghton. They're pretty much all dive bars by definition, even the ones downtown. But a little further out from the downtown area when we went to Tech, and there was a bar we went to on a series of particular evenings, and there was a local woman who got a little bit crazy. There was some backstory. She was not someone who should spend so much time at the bar, but spent a lot of time at the bar. So I was challenged because I seemed to do quite well with the middle-aged ladies in my lifetime. I was challenged to go after this young. I was challenged to go after this young lady at the bar, and of course, there was no way in hell I was giving her my actual name. But I wanted to make it as ridiculous as possible. And I'm sitting here, and I'm white, I'm Finnish. I am, very tall. I was a little more slender then, maybe a little bit. But I decided that my alter ego was going to be Mario Flores. I walked up and I introduced myself as Mario. And I'm sitting here like looking at me like, you have to be drunk to look at me, and I actually think that my name is
you're
Mario.
a Mario.
But yes,
that's a hockey name.
I rocked the Mario Flores quite successfully. She believed
Mario
that was Mario.
Flores.
Of course, my friends came over and vouched. I'm just like, hey, this girl doesn't believe what my name is. What's my name? And then they all knew I got to give that, and we rode that out for the better part of 3 nights, going to that same bar, not consecutively, but we ran into her a couple other times, and it's just like, oh, there she is.
Oh,
Go tell her,
Mario,
go tell her hi.
go say hi.
And yeah, I was her best friend Mario for a while. So
Did she ever know?
no.
Until now.
Truth be told, I think she was a bit of an alcoholic, and she had some problems. And like I said, she probably shouldn't have been in a bar, given what little I knew about her life situation. But that makes the story far more detailed than we need.
Honestly, Mario Flores, in my mind, has a mullet. So if you ever got a mullet, I know what's happening to you.
Mario Flores has a mustache.
Oh,
He has black hair and a mustache. I
guess
have none of those things.
You know why they initially drew Mario in Super Mario Bros. With no mouth, or why they put a mustache on him?
Why?
It's because the mouth was too hard to like do with the amount of pixels they had. So there's like, oh, let's do a mustache instead.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, when Mario jumps and hits blocks above him, he's not actually hitting him with his head. If you look at like the pixels, he actually does have his fist up and he's punching them. He's not smacking his head into them.
In the old school, yeah. Or is it even the new school?
It's all of them. It was mind blowing when I first saw that.
Well, I think Super Smash Brothers.
I remember seeing the little motion.
I thought it was just running. Like when you're doing your run and jump, you like lift your hands up.
No, but if you just jump straight up, he actually like puts his fist up to punch the block. So he's not smacking it with his head. He's punching the block.
I thought it was running motion. The things you learn.
Yeah. So that was my random tangent. I tend to have a couple of those every show. But what I was going to talk about today was preparation for Halloween. It is coming up. If this comes out on Thursday, technically it'll be in less than a week. It'll be on Wednesday, the following week.
Next Wednesday.
With that, yes, next Wednesday.
With a fury.
With that, I guess, do either of you have costumes or plans or anything for Halloween?
No. So go ahead, Brent.
No, you go first because mine's way more depressing. After you.
Sorry.
Depressing.
Well, I don't have any plans. Let's start with that. I will say that for costumes, I also really don't have anything. But I know our work is doing like a costume contest. I don't know if our whole group, like, because I'm part of the mechanical engineering like group, I don't know if our group's going to do like a team costume. I did throw out, and my family used to go to a campground that did trick or drinking. So the kids would go around and trick or treat, but the adults would go around and trick or drink. And so you'd get like shots and WAP and whatever from every single campsite. You were feeling very good by the end of the night, if you got to the end of the night, that is. And one time we were there, we did dominoes. So like we all just in all black. We did a white stripe of just out of paper across our waists, and then we did dots above and dots below, and we were all dominoes, and we'd be like, dominoes, and just like knock into each other and like just tip over. And I thought it was the best thing ever. So I proposed that to our team, but I don't know if there wasn't anybody that was like a huge taker. I think we have a team meeting or something tomorrow or Wednesday. So or yesterday,
if I may,
when this podcast comes out. So we might.
If I may, that's the single best thing about that costume is clearly the yelling dominoes and just slamming into one another.
Yeah, right. It's like
the costume itself, pretty low key. I mean, kind of cool, but nothing special.
As a group costume, very easy, right? Everybody's dressed in black. We'll pre-cut out a bunch of strips and dots and just get some like clothespins and just pin them everywhere. You're gonna have the one guy that has the one dot right over the crotchal region. And then the blank guy, like that's always the fun one, or the all the dots guy, where you use as many as possible you fit on you, and then everybody in between. It's a genius costume. It's just it's just so fun to be knocking into each other. Even more fun when you're drunk. So I'm not sure exactly how well it would work at a work, but it has potential.
You're not gonna 3D print the entire Iron Man mock dress up as Iron Man.
No, so sometime I'll find it and show it during the podcast, but I 3D printed the entire Iron Man helmet. And so last year I just wore maybe for our Halloween episode, I'll bust it out. But I just had an Iron Man t-shirt and then the helmet on. And the helmet was a lot of work. So I don't. The entire suit is out there, but that would be a lot of work, and I don't know if I'm in for that.
Kyle, question for you: is this drinker treating the birth of the infamous Senor Stinky?
No, that was a while back.
Was?
When my dad had like one of the best costumes that actually he claims was stolen by a cartoon artist at some point in time. But that was at a Yogi Bear. Is that what they're called? Yogi Bear camp or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the Yogi Bear camps.
It's Yogi Bear. Yeah.
Is it?
Or Jellystone.
No, it's Jellystone is the camps that they're called. But it's one of the Yogi Bear camps, and it was during Halloween. And my dad was Senor Stinky. My mom and him had gone to Mexico, and he wore like a giant sombrero, had a poncho, and then he would sit in just a camping chair, and he had the fog machine underneath him, and then he had the bowl of candy. So when kids would come up to like get him, he also had a whoopee cushion underneath his poncho. So when kids would come up to like get candy, he'd make the farting noise, hit the button. Oh, Senor Stinky had too many Mexican jumping beans, and just like. It was pretty hilarious. That's a good one.
Wow. That's something.
It was definitely the winner of the contest that year or whatever. But yeah, it was super easy costume, and it's just hilarious because giant poncho that goes down to like his shins, covering up the fog machine, whoopee cushion and the button in his one hand, and he's had the bowl in the other hand. So it was like whenever the kids would come up, just sorry.
Lo siento.
Lo siento. Too many Mexican jumping beans.
Yeah, so I don't have a costume planned just yet, but I was the first in our friend group to reach out and kind of organize. I kind of like to do the haunted hayride or a haunted house each year. I don't really get scared by them. I generally just walk through. I make a point of like not flinching. I try to avoid laughing in a lot of situations because a lot of it's just kind of ridiculous. But I mean, it's not that I don't get scared. I guess it's just more I don't take it too seriously. But I still enjoy going through it. I like seeing the reactions and seeing all the other people kind of experience the fear. And it'll be interesting to see with Megan taking her through. She said she didn't like haunted houses or that she gets scared. So
you're definitely going through a haunted house.
I said I'd hold on to her. I think we're looking at a couple options. We have to vote and figure out what the best one is. But everything's about like half an hour to 45 minutes away, which kind of sucks. But there's a couple haunted hay rides. There's a couple haunted houses. I have no experience with respect to what's good, what's bad. Anything that's quote unquote family friendly is a waste of time, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Well, right. It's. I'm sorry. It's like I'm not going to have my kids be slightly petrified by the man who's just wearing a long jacket. Like, oh no, good heavens! But
I know a lot of the family-friendly places will have like after a certain time, then it becomes more adult.
A lot of the city locations here like close by like 11. Like I saw one that stayed open until 12:30. But I'm like, I remember as a kid, like you didn't go out until like 10 or 11 to start going to something like this. Like the darker, the later, the better. But yeah, it seems everything in the city kind of closes a little bit earlier, which is super disappointing. But we'll see what we can find as far as the good ones. The one I liked there were a couple in Green Bay and the Fox Valley that were really solid. The Terror on the Fox, where you ride the train and then you go out to the house in the woods. That was always awesome. Like that was really cool.
Is that the one you had the hayride to the house in the woods?
No, the haunted train ride or whatever.
I think it's in Green Bay, maybe.
Because I don't know, Brent, were you on the one that we worked a haunted house when we were in Scouts?
That was a family friendly one though.
Of course,
that was not the Terror on the Fox. I dressed up in a ski mask and hid behind like a door.
I didn't have anything. All I had was a Wolverine mask. And I was in the haunted house. So we're like going to this
That's so
house.
terrifying. Wolverine's gonna get you.
There's a random kid.
Watch
It
out.
must have been like 12, 13 maybe. This is a random kid with a Wolverine mask, it is bright, so I'm sure like especially like popping up. Like that haunted house is also really well designed, so there was a bunch of like nooks and crannies to pop out from. But yeah, Wolverine mask, and I had the claws and everything, so I was like, "Rah!" It was just Wolverine.
So,
You're just like immediately taken out of whatever scary situation had been previously set up when Wolverine shows up to save you.
well, yeah, he's here to save you. He's a hero. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we can find. I think our only plan of attack for the neighborhood that we're in now is to carve some pumpkins. And I thought I had what was a little brilliant idea. Like, we've introduced ourselves to a number of our neighbors, but I got a pumpkin for myself, Megan, and Ghost, and we'll do some pictures or whatever. But then underneath, I was gonna write our names as kind of an introduction to the neighborhood, to kind of just say, hey, it's the three of us. So I'm not gonna put up lights or anything super spooky. I have some really great trees for future years if I wanted to go all out. I could get some decorations and really do some cool stuff with the trees in front of my house. But for this year, I'm just going to do the 3 pumpkins. I've got some candles. We'll carve those, put the candles in, and then I bought a huge bag of candy because I have no idea what's coming. I'm in a suburban area in the city, so I'm like, I could get
Worst
300
case scenario,
kids.
You're stocked for a while.
Yeah, well,
Wow,
I don't need the candy. Like, my policy on Halloween candy is I'll have like 1 or 2 pieces on the day of, and then after that I'm bringing it to work or I'm throwing it away
No,
because
it's half the bag
I can't
until
have
you
it in the
feel
house.
sick, and then the remaining the next day.
I
Until
miss
you get to
those
the crappy
days.
candy that you don't like, and then you trade that off to your brother or something.
I miss those days, but I'm well past those days, so I don't do that anymore.
So I always wonder, Halloween, they would check and see if there's rips or anything, and then the parents would throw it out. Were they checking for rips, or were they just looking for the candy that they could grab and say, oh, nope, this one doesn't pass mustard?
I'm definitely inspecting my kids' candy for sure.
You
For
never
rips?
know. Whatever could happen.
For rips. Yeah, you don't want anything crazy going on.
See, my plan would be to grab the candy you want, and they're not looking, to give a little rip and be like, you can't eat this.
You don't have to put a rip when they're not looking. You're the adult. Pick up the candy and be like, oh yeah, it's right here. You see this? This is a rip. And they're gonna be like, oh, okay.
I'm 4.
Right?
Yeah.
I think my parents had the brilliant
You don't
strategy.
have to
of
be
they
that
just-
much more clever to, fool some kids.
My parents are pretty good. They just put all the candy into a bowl on the kitchen table. So, like, nobody's going to notice when they snag a piece or two. There's a bowl of
Yeah.
candy right on the table.
Makes
My
sense.
nerds. The 3rd box of nerds is gone. There's only 2
know.
left.
So, for
Brent,
us,
did we get a Halloween story out of you?
Yeah, so I hate Halloween. In all
What?
honesty,
What?
this is like my least favorite time of
You
year.
went to Madison.
The
That's like the
at
Halloween
all.
central
I-
for the Midwest.
I dressed up for Halloween once in Madison because I was doing sort of poorly in my plant taxonomy class. And our teacher said, if you dress up and you go on State Street and take a picture on State Street on Halloween,
you get extra credit
we'll
for
give you
dressing
extra
up for
credit.
Halloween on State Street.
But there was a caveat. You had to dress up as a plant. Now,
How many
I did
kids were
not
weed?
do. No, I should have.
How
thought of
many?
that.
There
I
must have been
didn't-
college kids. They're dressing up as a weed fern for sure.
Surprisingly, most people decided to go with the let's get real Halloween costumes and not dress up as a freaking plant. They didn't take the bait, but me at the time was like, easy points, I'll take it. So the night of Halloween, right, like half hour before we go, I realized I did not do any preparation for a costume. So what I did, and I actually think this is clever, but have been made fun of this in the past. I might even be able to find this picture and post it maybe. But my roommate had a Snuggie that was blue and had kind of like little waves in it. It looked like water basically. So I was like, I'm going to put on the Snuggie, pretend it's water. I cut out my green folder into a circle. In the middle of that circle, I cut kind of a hole in there for my head to make it into a hat. I put a paper bag that I highlighted yellow, and I called myself a water lily. And I went on State Street dressed as a water lily. And nobody, like, I went up to a frog that somebody had dressed up in a frog. I'm like, hey, come in. And he was
And
just
they're
like,
like, I don't know what
what
you're.
are you? But that picture got put onto the class website, and I
Oh
believe is still there
no.
to this day, with the label like Nymphia alba, the like one text like Latin name for a plant that I'll never forget. Um, it was actually pretty interesting. I went down State Street. There was a ton of pot going on. Went to like a Mac Miller concert. Rest in peace. I guess he just passed like a month or two ago. Went there. I thought he was someone different. I thought he was Macklemore. Different people.
Definitely.
Listened to
Little
some of his
different.
music. Smelled the weed. Started to get a headache from it because I had never been exposed to it before. I was just like, well, let's go. Had never been groped in the behind as much though as I had that night.
Attaboy.
Because
That's a
like there were
compliment.
a lot. No, there were just a lot of really, really, really drunk people on State Street that night, and they were just. It was just everybody. Oh, it was weird. It was
Maybe with your
never
snuggie
forget.
draped over you, you looked a little feminine. Maybe.
No, there were girls. It wasn't guys. Thankfully, drunk like Nick's friend from earlier. Probably should not have been outside. I also pretended to do a costume one time where I just dressed in normal clothes and said I was a nudist on strike. That one didn't fly.
It's a
That
pretty
actually has
lazy
a good
costume.
story too. Oh, do you guys want to hear the one time I got kicked out of a party?
You
Okay.
went to a party in college?
Halloween. It was like the night before Halloween, my sophomore year. So this is a year before I went down and dressed up as a plant. I go to a party, like a bunch of freshmen were from the dorm were like, hey, let's go out. Let's go to a house party. Because as underage, that's the only place you can go to a party. Never been to a party before, but I was like, you know what? It's Halloween. I got to do something. Let's go. I get to this party and somehow somebody opened the door. Like somebody snuck into the party of older people that could drink, and they like opened the door and let us in. And we made our way down to the basement. And this house was it was probably the size you've been in my apartment. It's probably the size of my apartment, maybe a little bit bigger. It's college house, but it was just standing room only basically.
So it was a college party.
Yeah, it's
It
a
was a
standard
college
college party.
party. And we're in this basement. I'm like stuck in this basement and you can't hear anything. There's just music blaring, people drinking. I wasn't at the time. I was just like, I have no clue what's going on. This is
Remember,
nothing like I've ever been
your
before.
mother listens to this podcast.
Oh no, this is entertaining. I
Brent
didn't do
never drank
anything
until he
wrong.
was 21.
I go upstairs. I go upstairs to look at the bathroom, and in walks a police officer. Well, I'd heard stories from other people that like police pretty frequently, if a party got too loud, would bust parties. And if you were in the house and you had been drinking, you were gonna get a big ticket and you would be in big trouble. And I was just like, I gotta get out of here. So I sneak out as fast. I like he starts to go downstairs. I book it out. I'm like, I'm not getting caught by this police officer.
Brent
No
evaded the
way.
cops.
No how. I abandoned my friends. I abandoned the party. I was just like, nothing was keeping me in there. It was this party was gonna get. It was so loud. It was definitely being busted. So I hit out, go a block, and I start texting my friends. I'm like, hey guys, like, you get out okay? Like, I know you've been, you guys have been drinking, like, cop, And they're like, what are you talking about? Well, I start walking back. There on the street is the police officer with his other buddies all dressed up in costumes. The costume, the police officer wasn't a police officer at all. It was some college guy in a police officer costume that I totally just was like,
He probably
it
got a
must have
great
been
kick
a
out of
good
you freaking
costume.
out.
Yeah, and I was just like, by that time I couldn't get out back into the party because it was full and I was a guy and they didn't really actually want me there to begin with. But I
Ladies
was,
only.
oh my gosh, it was like the first and last house party that I didn't know the people that I went to. Yeah, I was pretty much an idiot. So I just dejectedly walked home and that was that.
Speaking of drinking, we totally missed out on our 21st episode of talking about the first time, or talking about our 21st birthdays.
Oh,
I'm over it.
You're over it? You didn't have a good 21st?
I didn't say it wasn't good.
do you remember it?
Yeah.
Well, then it wasn't good.
I went to a school where there weren't a lot of women, so I was a bit of an expert. I have a very good memory. I think I've only blacked out 3 or 4 times in my life.
I'm only at one.
So is blackout where you don't like remember it?
Yeah,
You
like-
actually don't know what happened at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You wake
Or
up,
like
you're not sure where you are, you're not sure how you got there. Nothing.
You have to
Like,
have
I've
people explain
definitely-
to you what happened because you're like, I did what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm apparently Spider-Man when I'm blacked out, by the way.
Nice.
parkour.
I was post college actually, so this was maybe something to be proud of, maybe not. But I was staying at a friend's frat house where he had been a member, been a brother, and the bed I was designated to was a weird bed that was like 8 feet in the air, like at least. And it was like a bunked style, but it literally hung from chains on the ceiling, and it was a nice bed, a single bed, comfortable, but it was up there and there was no ladder. So I tried when I was sober to get my big rear end up in this bed, couldn't do it. Like I could not get enough of a pull up and get my leg over to get up in this bed. And this particular evening, the Wisconsin Badgers basketball team was playing in the NCAA tournament and had a rather unfortunate loss due to some unforeseen circumstances.
I remember that.
And the event in question was I forget the name of it exactly, but it was like a legacy or family tree night. I don't know. Each family tree of the fraternity has like a designated drink. And I've never, played that because I wasn't in the fraternity. And if that's not the rules or it's all made up, but we just went along with it anyway. But 2 of the girlfriends of the brothers in the fraternity didn't have a family tree. And we wanted to play, like we didn't want to be excluded. So I teamed up with them to be a family tree, if you will. And we as a family tree had to finish a 5th of something. So we voted on what to drink that evening. And naturally, the 2 women chose tequila, which does not bode well for me. So the
you're
Badgers,
drinking half that bottle.
I probably drank 2/3. The Badgers had an epic loss, and I proceeded to drink my misery away with the tequila. And in less than 45 minutes, that bottle was gone between the 3 of us, and I did more than half. And there was a hammock in the room. I passed out in the hammock. I puked out the window, and I woke up in the bed that I was supposed to be in.
Nice.
And I spent the next morning asking, who helped me up in that bed? Because that thing's up there. And I'm a big dude. I'm sorry. You'd need like 5 brothers, because most of the guys are pretty scrawny. No offense. You'd need like 5 of those guys to get me up there if I were incapacitated. Like if I'm cooperative, you still need 3. But I'm just like, all right, who do I have to thank for getting me up in that bed? And we searched, we asked every guy in the house, and nobody helped me get up in that bed. So I, like Spider-Man, that I was so desperate to go to sleep that I got some superhuman strength and just like vaulted up into this bed magically somehow and shimmied my way in. So yes, I turned into Spider-Man when I'm blacked out, and I don't claim that's a talent. I don't claim that's a good thing, but when I'm ready to go to bed, I go to bed. I don't care if it's 10 feet in the air.
That's his superpower.
Yeah.
You
Might be.
figured out
When,
his.
when Nick is drunk, wherever you put a bed, he will get to that spot.
He will get to the bed, come
That's his
hell or high
origin-
water.
We found his origin story.
But
Awesome.
Yeah, that was sorry. The second really off tangent. The other thing I had to share today was I went to the dentist. You know, I like to share my personal hygiene habits with you guys, but I went to the dentist, and the dentist was very shocked when she asked if I floss, and I said yes, and she's like, "Oh, great," and I'm like, "I actually do it with no hands. Like, is that a good thing?" And she's like, "What?" Yeah, no, I actually floss without using my hands. And then she's like, "What do you mean?" So you know those toothpick things, those little like
Yeah,
it's just a
Yeah,
little
plastic and
plastic
has a
piece
little
that has
strip
the
in between.
little strip of floss, right? And it has a pick on the back. And what I do is I play with that in my mouth the same way Southerners would play with a toothpick
That's
or
not
something
the only
in
thing
their
Mike
mouth.
plays within his mouth. Ayo!
Man meat,
What?
I think is where you're going with that, and I can appreciate that. At any rate, I play with those toothpick things in my mouth from time to time when I'm driving, because I was always told by every dentist ever, you need to floss more. You need to make sure you're flossing, and not like the kids are nowadays or whatever it is that they do, but actual flossing for your teeth. It's good for you. So on long road trips, I'd make sure I keep a bag of those in, and I'll just floss. And I'm sitting there driving, rocking out to music, and I'll just play with it, and I can actually go in between every single tooth and not have a problem. And this apparently like blew the dentist's mind. And I'm just like, I don't think it's that fancy. Like I've never tried to do like the rosebud or the other, like, I think she said something about like the clam. There's all these fun things you can do with your tongue. I can fold mine, like that one. But yeah, Kyle, you can do, okay, yeah, three of us can do it. So it's not like I've got any mad skills or anything special to share. It's more just, that was my stupid trick. That and the thing I was doing earlier, if you can see on the camera here, this is what I would do in class, and this is what I do in work meetings when I'm bored or trying to be as focused as possible. And it's just twirling the pen along the fingers. I was never great with the, Kyle, you can do the spinny one there. I never learned that one. And then there were, in middle school, it was always the drummers who would just be able to like go off on the table and do some goofy stuff.
It's hard to do it up. Like it's like my wrist is sitting on a table.
Yeah. I'm not the spinny thing you're doing there doesn't look nearly as fun. Brent's focused super hard on getting. He's doing
Really
something. I'm not
good
sure
at
what it is.
I never got the coin pirate thing where you like put the coin in between your knuckles or whatever.
That's essentially what this is. Like if this were a coin, I mean it's a lot easier with a pen or something bigger. But I'm rotating it up and down essentially through my fingers. So I mean that's what this is, except that you just have to do it with a coin.
Very impressive.
Right.
But those are my stupid human tricks, and I was wondering if you guys had any other stupid human tricks to share.
If I may, I want to quick circle back to the flossing. Do you have one of those bars? I believe you had braces back in the day. Do you have one of those bars still? Like those bars they put behind your teeth?
Like the
Metal bars that they put to like keep the frame?
The expander, you mean? Like
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had the expander that like pushes your teeth out from the inside, and you crank it every once in a while.
Well, like right now, do you still have like metal in your mouth?
No, I don't have any metal. I have a Maryland bridge because I got sucker punched when I was in college. In a Maryland bridge is basically a fake looking tooth.
Whoa! Don't be flipping off the camera.
I point with my middle finger. Actually, I remember Brent, your dad was driving, and I was being super snarky, like I am from time to time. And he like changed the channel or did the volume with his middle finger, and I'm like, oh, "You're flipping us off!" And I was such a little shit. So
My dad would do that though. And I think he probably still does it.
I'm sure it's
a
super
longer
easy.
finger.
It's whatever. But I was a little shit, so I gave him a hard time. So Bruce, if you're listening, I apologize. I love you. At any rate,
No, so I have this metal bar that makes flossing nearly impossible. I mean, you can like weave it in between the
You
bar.
don't have any braces on right now anymore, right?
No, but there's like, so they put this, I don't know, it basically goes along the inside of my teeth. And it's just there. I think it keeps it from shifting, obviously, but it's really annoying because I try to floss and it's just like there's a little bar that I have to work around.
I feel like you might need a dentist to check that out. I don't know. Is that supposed to be there? Like when's the last time?
It is. The orthodontist put it in. It's not like it was left over from braces, but it was.
Like, we just
it's
forgot
just
that
something
part.
to keep. They've looked at it and they're like, "Oh yeah, just because you have this, you have to work extra hard." And I just don't like working extra hard when it comes to
Yeah,
that.
because of the Maryland bridge that I have a gap where the fake tooth doesn't obviously go into my gums. It's not an implant; it's just a placeholder essentially. And yeah, I have to go. I technically am supposed to floss underneath that. That's what I use those picks for. The back end of those picks work really nicely for going underneath there and cleaning. It weirds like people out who are uncomfortable with mouths and gory and weird looking stuff, but it works really well for me to clean out all the gunk, and I have to clean it probably twice a day, ballpark. I mean, after most meals that are sticky or have anything that's kind of particleized, which after you chew everything's particleized, it just helps to clean it.
Sure.
But no, I don't have any metal. I just have that individual piece. The me getting sucker punched and getting my jaw partially broken is a separate story for another time potentially.
Okay, so I do have a trick too. I did not forget that part. I think my dad probably taught me. Good job, Dad. You're really kicking butt this last little bit. Anyway, so it works it's like you usually put coins on it, but if you put a coin on your elbow.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a coin near me because my wallet's elsewhere, but you put the coin on your elbow and you just bring it down really fast. Kyle demonstrate this. Okay, move the.
I gotta kneel.
And then you can catch it like that, and you can stack
So
them up
talented.
pretty high. It's. You didn't say smart tricks.
Well, right. It doesn't,
check this out. Check this out.
Definitely the.
Right, ready?
Whoa.
What about that? What about the one?
Oh, yeah, that's a
plus
good one, too.
Equals 2. I almost messed it up. 1 plus 1, 2.
That was the
You wave your
slowest
fingers and
rendition.
then just bring it.
Brent, you got to work on your hand speed, dude. Like
I'm
you're
doing
like
it in front of
you're
a
like-
camera. It's a great trick when you do it slow.
equivalent of what you just did.
Slowing it down.
I knew that.
Okay.
All right. Any other cool tricks that are more original? Yeah, the sliding thumb. Yeah, you're crazy.
You bite your thumb off and
I can do the.
just hide it behind you.
I got your nose. Oh, I forgot there was a hilarious joke.
Worst
it's like-
segment ever.
This is like parenting 101. I
I
think.
forgot what it was. There's an awesome joke by I think Jeff Fibber
story.
where it's like, oh, if I ever worked in a maternity ward, I'd be the largest stealer of noses. There's something like that. Anyhow,
Yeah.
That was
I have a couple like magic tricks I know that are pretty decent.
I still haven't figured out the red and black one where you take the cards and you can just separate them out.
I'm pretty proud of that
It
one.
should
That
be
one,
a pretty-
I saw
it
that
sh-
trick once. I thought about it. I was like literally staying up at night thinking about this thing, and I figured it out just for literally only seeing it once ever.
In theory, it shouldn't be that bad, but makes no sense to me. Okay, speaking of learning new tricks, the universe has been speaking to me recently. So there's like just
Yeah.
been a lot of
There's
things
psychologists
that
for
have
that.
been like going through my head where I just like keep coming up with this, and I developed a new theory, and I don't actually know if it's a new theory. So if it's not, I'm sorry to whoever I'm stealing this from, but I thought of this on my own. I'm very proud of it. But basically, that you can't learn without trying. So this is how it works. So you try something, and there's 2 outcomes. You can either succeed at doing it, or you can fail at doing it. Right? Now, if you succeed at doing it, that would then result in you changing your behavior, because the next time you do it, you're going to do it that way again, or something to that effect. You change your behavior, and then you learn something from that. If you fail at it, you're going to not do it the same way as you did it before. Therefore, you're changing behavior again. Therefore, you also have learned something from that as well. Now, if you don't change your behavior, whether you succeed or you fail, then you're really not learning at all. Nothing's happening, and you're not.
So I see
So
where you're
basically-
You
going
want me
with
to
this,
tear that
if I
apart
may.
for you or what?
Yeah, of course. Go for it. I need help
I'll
with this.
rip it a
I
new
wanna
one.
develop this.
if
I
I
think
may,
it's good.
I see where you're going with
without
this. It's
trying
like
something, you can't.
it's like the Benjamin Franklin. Like, I didn't figure out 100 ways. I didn't fail 100 ways at building a light bulb. I figured out 99 ways not to build a light bulb and one way to build a light bulb. It's like a classic thing. I don't know if that's 100% true that you can't learn without trying. Because, like, I mean, have you ever tried jumping out of an airplane without a parachute? I mean, it might work for you. I think you should try it.
No, okay,
I
you
think,
jump
I think there's
without a
some things you can
parachute,
learn.
you die, you don't learn anything because no behavior's changed. Like, you're just dead. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
Once
what
you're
is
dead,
the
when
molecule
it's
for water?
Less lethal. Hold on. Less lethal. I've never shot myself in the foot. I know that if I shoot myself in the foot, it's not good. I've never done it, but I know it's not good.
But you've also successfully shot, correct? You shoot a gun the right way, it hits the target. You know that if you aim at your foot, you're not going to hit the target because you have already learned the proper way to shoot and where to point it.
Okay, this is a more academic
That's not
argument. Brent, what is the molecule for water?
H2O.
How do you know?
Because, so here's what it is. I sat in class, I listened, and I
You
memorized.
haven't done
I
it.
had to work, and I
But
had
you
to try to
haven't done it.
memorize what it is.
No, you haven't done it.
I have. I
haven't done
worked
it.
to memorizing that fact. I
Okay.
had to.
You're
You're
interchanging your
all the
ideas.
logic to just work for
No,
you.
it's not, because trying is also this act of memorizing. You have to try and work. I could sit in that class, and if I'm on my phone the whole time and not paying attention, they could say, "Oh, the molecules for water is H2O." I don't listen to it. My behavior has changed because I don't commit that fact to my memory. Do not learn it. Boom.
I went to class one summer, and all I did was play Bloons Tower Defense, and I got a B in the class. Like I listened while not listening, not because I'm just smart, because being in the room basically through osmosis, I, without trying, heard that the game theory for situation
you had to
A is
listen.
this.
You didn't
No, I
think that
didn't.
you were trying, but you were trying. And
I
that's-
went
Wow.
to less.
We have
You
crossed
did
a new
not. You did
threshold.
not. Like, trying does not
You
have to
didn't
be.
think you were
massive
trying,
art.
but you were trying. Because for my
Basketball.
theory to work, you had to be trying.
No, it does. You had to at least have put some effort in there to have committed that.
Brent,
fact
is
to
Heather
memory.
or one of
You
your
can't just pick
parents or
something up
something
through
in the room?
osmosis. You have.
Where's your wife?
Yeah.
Where's your wife? She will straighten you
anybody
out. I
home?
don't have time for
Is
this.
anybody
I
home that's
don't
hearing
think
you say
she
this?
will.
Is there an adult? Can we get an adult?
Can we
No,
can I speak to an adult, please?
Excellent.
Who's in charge over there?
Okay, yeah. that's-
Albert Einstein believed in trying. Just remember that. Albert Einstein. I'll have to look up the quote. I'm gonna
Okay,
look up-
in this moment, in honor of that quote, I'd like to share this quote with you. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Make sure you always delete your browser cookies."
He did. That's
I
a
said that.
historical
I
fact.
saw
That
it
was-
on the internet.
So no. Abraham Lincoln had a speech that was so good.
Okay,
That everyone present forgot to write it down. It's been lost to history. How do we not know that he said delete your internet browser? He just had them so wrapped up. Why not? I feel like anything that you could attribute to Abraham Lincoln, you can just put into that speech that was never recorded, that he said, that there's proof that he said it, because everyone's like, we went to the speech, it was awesome, but they don't
I feel
remember what
like
they said because they
arguing
didn't
with
write it
you
down.
is like me just saying, "I believe the sky is orange."
It
Prove
could
me
be.
wrong.
Sometimes it is.
So with colors, okay. Nick, what's your favorite color?
Orange.
Brent, what's your favorite color?
Yellow.
My favorite color is blue. How do we know that all of our favorite colors are not actually exactly the same? We just perceive them different, have been taught that that's what that color is called.
Well, that's what color blindness kind of brings into question. It's all about how you perceive it. That's the beauty and where I
You're
get
getting
lost
way too
in
technical for
science.
this conversation. I'm just talking, what if I see blue the way you see orange?
I don't
Like,
think color is real.
this is orange to you,
So,
but blue to me, but you've just been
no, but
taught to
that's-
call it
that's-
something else.
But we can all look at the same thing and say, "This is what I perceive it to be."
Yep. Because we've all
And
been taught what it's called. Like if
Okay.
I all of a sudden jumped into your body and saw through your eyes, maybe this is actually orange to me. Like to me, not to you. Does
No,
that
but
make
we
any
all
sense?
call it the same thing. No, okay. So I get what you're saying, Kyle, and this is my take on it. Is the chair is blue, but what you consider blue might
think
not
it's
be what I
black.
consider blue. but we all agree that it's okay, black and blue, whatever. Is the dress purple or gold and white? No.
Yes, he got the reference. Oh my god, he got the reference.
Different thing than that. But we can all look at a color,
black and blue,
even
by the
though we all see Kyle's chair and it looks blue, or we all agree that it is a blue and black chair, what we might see as blue and black might not be the same thing. There's no way I think of actually telling that what I see blue, but we all agree that it is blue.
I mean,
as a chair,
you're getting
'cause
into
that's what we've been told.
identifying items, whether it's by
Yeah.
color, by smell, by whatever. The art of communication is conveying and agreeing upon an idea. Don't quote me on that, but that's the rough concept.
Yeah, because
I have an
in
idea or a
England,
perception that I am sharing with you, and we hopefully agree, even if we disagree on the whole conversation or sentiment, we're agreeing on what is being stated. I think it's blue. I think it's brown. Like, even if we disagree, we're communicating and sharing, and we've chosen those words to define what color means to us individually. And so it's incredibly, you may.
I would say that a great example of that is bubbler. We all know what a bubbler is. There's some people in
Sure.
the world, you go to them and say, hey, do you know where the nearest bubbler is? And they're like, WTF, mate? Because they don't know that a bubbler is a drinking fountain that was invented in Wisconsin and was called a bubbler.
Or named it, yeah. That's true.
It bubbles.
So we can all identify it. So, have you remember the book Frindle? Has anyone read Frindle by
I don't
Andrew
read.
Clement?
I think it's hazardous to my health.
It was a child thing. You would have read it when you were a kid. Kyle, I bet through Battle of the Books you read it. But Frindle, the concept of this book, and I read it, like, it's really fast. I read it probably in a half hour, a little bit, like a year ago. Is
A little bit ago, like an hour ago.
no. Okay, no. So it was at my whatever.
That
I don't
direction. I read it over there.
Regardless, it was over there. But the book, the concept is there's this kid who's a smart aleck, obviously, always getting into trouble.
I know what you're talking
Thinks
about
he's
now.
smarter than everyone. He says, "Here's this."
Pencil is a frindle.
I had a pen. I was just filling it. Here's this pen. Wait, this isn't a pen. It's a frindle. Because if I can get everyone to say it's a frindle, then it's a frindle.
I do
Even though
remember
we
this
all
book.
call it a pen. So as long
Didn't
as you all
South Park-
agree on what it's called,
Didn't South Park have an episode where they changed the meaning of fag?
I can see that.
Like, because the word, and no offense to anybody, I don't mean it negatively at all. The word fag at one point meant like the filter on a cigarette or a cigar. I believe that
cigarettes
was the
were
British.
called fags.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. It was something related to the cigarettes. It was called a fag, and then that ended up being a term for homosexuals. And South Park took that, and they wanted to change the meaning of the word fag to, I think it was an individual who rode Harleys, or at least someone who revved their Harley really loud. They had a whole episode where they were campaigning to change the word fag to mean people who did the Harley thing. And towards the end of the episode, there were a bunch of gay characters who were carrying signs picketing against fags, and it said gays against fags, which was probably the most hilarious moment in my mind on that show. They slowly, like the motorcyclists, they did the brum, 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 brum thing, that slowly realized that they were the new bad thing. I don't know how you want to refer to
Too
it.
late
but
now. I don't
if
think
I've
I've ever
offended-
heard that
if
used
I've offended
so many
anybody-
times.
Speaking of
offended
motorcycles
anybody,
and transportation,
I'm not sorry.
speaking of motorcycles and transportation, we'll go into our closing segment.
Oh,
So you get
segue.
yeah, nice
Segment.
segue. Yeah, segue
Segue,
also
the
a form of
segue.
transportation.
Not the Segu.
I need a soundboard effect. I need something. I don't know what it is. I'm just.
I have a
excited.
boing.
We need like a
Kyle,
segue.
you missed it.
We need like a tangent or a segue.
Yeah, I don't think I have a boing.
Just pick one.
I have
Just like a boom.
Kyle's
something.
pulling a LeBron James, missing those 2 free throws.
I got the
and
yeah.
right
I got the
there.
yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
I got a couple good ones. I just need to wait for the right moments for them. I also have to still somehow figure out where you guys can hear the sound effects I'm using.
With you, I am completely consumed by feeling so absolute. There's no doubt. It's a good song.
That's covered by Nick.
I'll sing for you guys later.
I just played the trombone wah 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 for you. Anyhow, okay. So if you right
know what I'm
now get 10 instant teleportations.
Yep.
Is it for just yourself or for anyone?
If you want to take somebody with you, you use up a second one. So like if you grab somebody's hand and go somewhere, that counts for 2. Okay? So you get 10 total. And you can use them whenever you want. Do you use them, first of all, where do you go? Or do you save them and wait for an opportune time to use them? Like if you know you have 10, do I instantly be like, okay, I'm going to take a week vacation, instantly start teleporting wherever? Or do you save your 10 teleports for like a dire situation?
Ooh, that's a
These
good one.
teleports can be as long or as far as you want, as long as you're on Earth, and we'll assume there's no like crazy side effects. Like if I teleport to Australia, I'm not upside down smacking my head into the ground.
You definitely would be.
Yeah, right.
Everyone knows in Australia everything's upside
We're talking
down.
movie teleportation here.
The Earth is flat, so
There is no
Good point. Good point. But the momentum of the Earth spinning, you're all of a sudden going the. No.
Yeah, that's we're not getting the Earth spinning
go
right
that
now.
deep.
That's a whole nother.
So the way I look at this is, you got to save 2 or 3 for a super dire situation for yourself. The other 7 or 8 equates to about 4 saves, I would say. Because remember, to save somebody, you got to teleport in. And actually, no, you need 3, right? Because teleport in and then 2 to get out to then save somebody. So you've got 2 saves, which is 6 teleports. And the other 4 are for super dire situations for yourself. Ballpark. I guess if I wouldn't use it for a vacation. I'll sit on a plane. I don't care.
See, I feel like it would be nice for a plane because I'd probably save a couple just because once you run out of it, it's out. And you always want to have that in your back. But you always want a little ace in your sleeve. I reach for my
Ace in
back
your
pocket.
sleeve as he rubs his butt.
As I reach my back pocket. But it's a weird
Ace
sleeve. It's
down
very
my
long.
sleeve.
It's a very long sleeve, as you can tell. Anyway, but honestly, just thinking about, like, you can always use an airplane, but in my case, it's like we just moved out. I don't really want to pay for airplanes. So use them now and then hopefully for airplanes later. That's my thought.
So you're just using them to use them?
Well, so like going home for Thanksgiving, probably do it then.
Okay,
Just
okay.
because
Let's rephrase it.
It would
Brent,
not be for quick. I would not
Okay.
waste it for a quick trip. I'd waste it for if I have a big vacation break.
yeah, I think for me,
That it makes it
for a
work.
flight, I would have to either like number one, if it's like a company flight, I'm just gonna take the however many hour flight. Like if I'm not paying for a
Someone's
flight,
paying
but if
for
you're talking
it,
like
yeah, heck yeah.
a 12-hour flight, like across the world to the other side of the world, I'd consider maybe using the teleport there. That way you don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, you got your
don't
whole
know.
life. It's only 10 teleports. You got your whole life, and you're gonna waste one because you're lazy and don't want to sit on a plane for
You also
10 to
don't
12
you
hours.
don't have to pay the money either, though.
Money's
Okay,
not,
no, so
money's not
so
a factor.
my thought here is if I have like for Christmas, I only have 4 days I can go home for Christmas or whatever. That might be a good time to use one because spending 10 of those hours traveling back from Seattle to Wisconsin would be we're not even going to go because it makes no sense for us to do it.
You have 10
Now, if I had a
teleports.
longer bit of time to go,
You have 10 teleports, and you have another 40 years minimum of life.
but once
And
I
you're
use
gonna
them, what
waste
does it
one-
matter?
You're gonna waste one on one Christmas.
My life right
So that's the other thing,
now,
'cause
I
if you
don't
did-
have teleports. Therefore, I use my 10. I'm not going to miss them because I can live life without teleports. I can live life with teleports. They don't. Like,
So
it's-
Brent's
it's not
not
the question.
saving
He's
anybody.
not
He's
saving
coming
any
home for
teleports.
Christmas for the next 10 years.
I have 10 years.
I like
Well, and
Nick's
plus,
strategy of
people
like
don't
saving
get
people. Like
younger,
Nick,
I
I guess
know.
if you can sprint in and get a hold of somebody, you're only using 2
Right.
then instead
No, you
of
don't
3.
sprint them. You go right to them.
But I mean,
But who are you saving?
it's September 11th. Your wife is on the top of one of the buildings that's about to go down. Zoop, zoop.
Yeah. See
Yeah,
that?
true.
I mean,
So we're gonna say
that's
4.
what I plan for. I plan for my whole life. I don't plan for I gotta get home for Christmas this year, guys. Like, no offense. Like, I get it. That's your life right now. But like, if you get 10 teleports for your whole life, and you're gonna, I'm sorry, you're gonna waste it on going home for Christmas.
It is not wasting
The
because
president-
That's only look at the waste.
president,
It's only like a
president
couple hour
can
flight.
care
It's like 3.5, 4 hours.
The
Brent.
president, the president, a president you in an imaginary world care about, is going to get shot unless you save him, and he's going to end world hunger. And without him, we don't end world hunger. And you had to go home for Christmas.
no president can save world hunger. That's not going to happen. For one,
You're not getting the point.
I do understand that you want to say someone, but how would I know? See,
Nelson
the thing is-
Mandela is being held captive at gunpoint.
and then I teleport, get shot, no more teleports. The thing is, like, you don't know necessarily if someone's, unless it's like a big thing. I wouldn't necessarily know someone's in grave danger because a lot of these accidents are just so bang bang, like, oh, car crash. Oh, you could come
Well,
and
then
save
again,
them,
like
but
in a
if you don't
car
know
crash
car is gonna
situation, that's a good
happen,
one. Because like you're about to
You
get in a
don't
car
know.
crash, and assuming you're driving or even passenger, you just touch the person next to you and poof, you're out.
Ah,
Do you save the other
hold
person?
on. You can't do that. Brent uses teleport for Christmas.
Sorry, Brent.
Really wish we had a teleport.
Yeah, okay.
That
So-
semi is
What about
coming in
the other
hot.
people in the crash?
If I may,
You-
that semi is coming in hot. But I went
Do you
home
save
for
the
Christmas.
semi driver?
Or no.
You-
Brent's gonna have
do
to be
you
like,
also teleport and
sorry,
save the
Heather,
semi guy?
I'll use my teleport to get home.
Oh, he leaves Heather because he didn't have it.
And then I save Heather with my teleport and not me.
I think Nick, you're on a point. I think at a minimum, no matter what you do, you save
4.
3.
You save 4.
So you can always zoop, save somebody, zoop out.
But
You
yeah,
guys live in a
even
much
that-
dangerous world than I do.
Even that, it's like, honestly, I couldn't justify to myself using it for anything outside of an absolute emergency. The idea of wasting a true teleport,
God
like
move,
zoop
really.
zoop, a god move, wasting that on myself in any way, shape, or form just seems horribly selfish. But I mean, again, I'm playing I'm going to be on the planet for the next. Well, I'm 28. Let's give me another 40 years, at least, hopefully.
At a minimum, yeah. Average lifespan or whatever.
Right. At least give me that. You're saying in 40 years there's not going to be an event on the news with somebody important or someone I love who's in a dire situation.
Brent's going to be really
that-
mad then because he's not going to have the mobility he used to have. And he's going to want to get home for Christmas when he's 80-something and be like, girl, Sonny, I wish I had my teleports.
I've been saving my teleports for these Christmases since I was 28.
Nick is gonna die with 9 teleports, and that's just like, what's the point then? You're gonna be, or it's gonna be you're on your deathbed.
I mean, that's the
and
thing. Once
see
you go
the
senile, you
pyramids,
just start
that,
messing
and
with
then
people.
boom.
Especially if you have some left over.
Yeah, just
The
tap
guy
someone on the
wasn't even trying to
shoulder,
save.
teleport to the other side. Like,
Oh,
What a
like, or
waste.
you're right in front of somebody.
I'd rather use
Hey,
it with this
who's
stuff.
that? Zoop. How's it going?
All right. Well,
you have a telescope, like one of those like that overlook the shore, and you're standing next to it, like, you see the guy over there? Like,
No, I don't
the
see him. No,
person
look harder.
goes and
He's
looks
right
at
next
it,
to that tree. Zoop.
right over there.
What the? You're gone. Looks back. Zoop right behind the shoulder. Oh, hey.
all right. If I may, that was episode 23 of If I May.
Going home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Going
We're all
teleporting to
over
Christmas this
Christmas
year.
with our teleports, and we enjoyed that. Hopefully you did too. A new Thursday is coming out every Thursday, as hopefully you
New
know.
Thursday is coming out every
Support us
Thursday.
by subscribe, share,
Just
rate,
read
and
the
review. I was
script.
gonna follow the
Just
script,
read
and you
the
guys
script.
got me off topic.
You said you were going to
Alright.
follow the script and you didn't follow the script.
Anchor donation if you want. If you want to get in contact with us or have any questions, DM us on Twitter at Zarbust.
Here's our offer.
Have
If
a
you
good
support us
Thursday.
financially, we will put all the money towards making Brent follow the actual script, which we promise is way better than whatever the hell he's saying.
We're giving you 10 teleports too, for the price of one.
Catch you
That
guys
too.
next week.
One
Yeah.
donation, 10 teleports.
Not yell.
We can't legally do that.
What?